Our guest this morning is the Honorable U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy. Dr. Cassidy, good morning.
Hey, how are you, Ted?
I am doing well. Kind of chilly down here. I think even cooler here than where you're at. I assume you're in D.C. this week or not?
I am in D.C. We just came up here yesterday. We welcomed new senators. They're not yet sworn in, but we know who they are. Have our leadership elections and trying to set up a successful end of the year to complete a successful 2 years Congress.
You and Democratic Senator Michael Bennet introduced Strategic Petroleum Reserve Reform Act. That's a big, long name. What does it mean?
So the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is a series of reservoirs, if you will, for oil, mainly in South Louisiana. And it's based out of New Orleans, the kind of command and control, but the places where the oil is stored, again, throughout South Louisiana. Some of those are empty. Now, the reason we have it, in case there's ever a shutdown where we're not getting oil from abroad, OPEC gets mad at us, you name it, then we can pull from that and make sure the gas prices don't skyrocket up. But some of those tanks are empty for whatever reason. The oil's been sold, it's not been replenished. Our idea is let's rent it. Rent it out to private industry who needs storage space and get that rental money for the taxpayer and can use to improve the facilities, to renovate them, to get them back up to speed. But ultimately it's more money for the taxpayer and it helps industry as well.
What do we do about spending in this country? Fed's collected record taxes in October, yet we're still running a $100 billion deficit. I mean, we can't stop spending.
So the issue right now is that 10,000 baby boomers a day become eligible for Medicare and Social Security. And when you become eligible for Medicare and Social Security, which, by the way, you paid into those systems, you're guaranteed that return. That's a good thing. But still, that 10,000 a day is what's driving our spending. And whenever they came up with Medicare and Social Security, they didn't quite figure the numbers correctly. And so we're now spending more out of the Medicare and Social Security trust funds than we're getting in. So that drives our deficits. So that deficit you're talking about, principally that is being driven by the fact that more folks than they anticipated are pulling down benefits from, again, Medicare and Social Security.
But that's not the only problem, because if you look at every local government agency now, cities, school boards, their biggest expense is employees and especially retirees. I mean, the retirement program across America, both state and federal, is destroying our country.
Well, there is a huge unfunded accrued liability, is the technical term, for pension benefits, but that's kind of related to the Medicare and Social Security. So what do you do about it? Well, one thing I'm looking at for Social Security, how can we make it stronger, how can we preserve those benefits, is looking at the fraud. It turns out the Social Security Disability Program, surprise, surprise, sends billions of dollars out per year to people who might be dead, people who are working once more, people, therefore no longer disabled, or people who otherwise shouldn't be getting their checks. I mean, billions of dollars. So one way to shore up the trust funds is to make sure the money is spent correctly. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to start a series of hearings about this. But it's already been established, again, that billions of taxpayer dollars are going out to people who might even be dead. So if we can correct that, we can begin to make a dent in some of the underlying problems.
Now, there's a war going on right now between Senator John Kennedy and Governor Edwards, which is not new, but, of course, in this case, you got to side with Kennedy, or at least I do. $85 million on Medicaid benefits for people who weren't eligible, and Kennedy is calling on the person in charge to be fired. And John Bell is saying everything is great. You got a dog in this fight?
So when we started Louisiana the Medicaid expansion, I think we enrolled 400,000 people in 3 months or 6 months, an incredible number of people in 6 months. And you can imagine that the income checks were not done correctly for at least some people. And that's what the legislative auditor has found. Now, I think it's an underlying problem with Medicaid in general. We spoke of Social Security, Medicare, again, important programs. We have to preserve them. but right now they're under great financial strain. Similarly, the state budget is under great financial strain because of Medicaid. And if you look, over the past couple of decades, Medicaid is taking more and more of the state budget. There's less going to roads, less going to higher education. Kids are paying higher tuition. So that just continues to be a problem. And we got to do something about it. I think Kennedy's trying to nail the problem down.
John has never been bashful in using very authoritative words. This is what John had to say this week. He's talking about Rebecca Gee, who is the Louisiana Health Department Secretary. This is he quoting, Dr. Gee needs to step down. She just pissed away $60 million to $80 million in taxpayers' dollars. She need to go. Kind of hard to follow that up, isn't it?
I think I would have said urinated away. I think that there's systems that are broken.
Okay.
And the fact that a lot of money is out the door that is forever lost is a system that is broken. And Gee is frankly just implementing the policy established by the government. And I like them both personally. But the fact is that we have a system right now which is not sustainable. And that lack of sustainability, it's going to come due. And we can pretend it's not going to come due. We can pretend that we can continue to pay more of the state for these products and it's never going to hurt us. But the reality is that it's eating up the budget on the state and federal level, and we got to do something about it. And I think that's what Kennedy's talking about.
Our guest this morning is the Honorable U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy. U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy is with us this morning. Dr. Cassidy, headlines this morning: China speeding up large-scale military buildup. How much of a threat is this?
So China is clearly a rival. China is trying to push us out of the South Pacific. On the other hand, their military strength depends upon their economic strength. And I think that's what Trump is trying to address. They've been getting economically stronger because, among other things, they've been tilting the trading field so that they benefit and we don't. It wouldn't help because Obama put in some policies that pushed American jobs to China, which means they had the American, they had a greater tax base, had a greater economy than we would, relatively speaking, and so that hurt us too. But if we get the economy in the U.S. ripping and roaring, and if China kind of quits stealing our intellectual property, then, by the way, we'll always be ahead of them militarily. Now, of course they're a rival, but I don't think we need to be threatened. We just need to respond.
All the people that hate Trump, there's 878,000 that probably like him pretty well. They became millionaires in the last 12 months under the economy that Trump has provided. Have we forgotten as a nation the economy, how much it's improved since Trump has been in office?
Yeah, I mean, this is the craziest thing in the world. Normally people vote their pocketbook, but you saw a lot of House members lose this past midterm election, even though the people in America are doing much better. I mean, think about it. We have record low unemployment for veterans, record low unemployment for high school dropouts, record low unemployment, which is to say record high employment for African Americans, Hispanics, for women, you name it. Every segment seems to be doing better. I'm hoping that now that Democrats have taken back over the House, that Nancy Pelosi doesn't try and mess up the economy. It's going well right now. And it's not about Trump, it's not about Congress, it's about the American people. And I'm hoping my Democratic colleagues remember that.
Can Nancy Pelosi really have any real authority? Because what can she do without the President and the Senate?
Well, they can do a lot of stuff to, investigate, to attempt to impeach, to do whatever they can to slow things down. And when business invests, they want certainty. They want to know that somebody's not going to go in there and suddenly change regulations and change taxes, because if they make an investment now, they want it to succeed, not 2 years from now having everything blow up in their face. They can create a sense that things are going to blow up in people's faces. That could hurt jobs for the average American.
If they investigate for 2 years, are they not very much closely creating the same issue that whenever Kavanaugh was treated like a second-class citizen during the hearings, and the American public just got so frustrated that at Election Day the Democrats paid a price for it?
I think that's a risk, but, people on the far left, they don't care. They hate Trump so much, the Trump derangement syndrome. They hate Trump so much that they're willing to kind of sacrifice the well-being of the economy and the American people's jobs prospects to go after Trump. It's just the craziest thing in the world. So I hope they don't do it. For no other reason than I want this economy to continue to be strong for the average American.
I noticed where that the governor of California blamed Trump for the wildfires, saying that this is climate control. But at the same time, the legislature, which is pretty liberal in California, passed legislation to get rid of 168 million dead trees in California that create a fire hazard, and the governor vetoed that. So who's responsible? Yeah,
so people obviously want to point at other people, but when you go out to California, they have all kinds of old dead trees that by law they've not been able to cut down. And that turns out to be just wonderful tinder for a fire to both start and then to blaze out of control. So obviously Brown wants to deflect attention from himself, his own guilt, if you will, for not proactively addressing the situation. I'd like to think that Californians are going to see through that.
Who was the cartoon character that they always jerked the football away just as he was going to kick it?
Yeah, that was Lucy and Linus and Peanuts.
It reminds me of Governor Edwards and Jeff Landry. Every time Edwards gets in a fight with Jeff Landry always wins. Well, let me take that to the national level. The liberals, the socialists, they hate Trump, and they say it's a fluke that he got elected president. Yet the people that he went out and campaigned for in this last election pretty well won. When do they learn that maybe it's not a fluke anymore? Maybe it's what the American public wants.
Yeah, I think that even people who don't like Trump love his economy, and to say that the things that have been done since the Congress, the Republican Congress, and what President Trump have done, getting rid of a lot of Obama-era regulations, trying to cut taxes both for the average American as well as for the people that employ them, getting businesses to bring the trillions of dollars that they had invested overseas back to the United States, to invest in the United States, to create jobs in the United States. All those things have brought great benefit to the average American. I'm hoping for the sake of Americans that the liberal left realizes that and they don't try and mess it up. We've got a great economy. And so, Ted, let's just hope that people just don't hate Trump so much that they sacrifice that economy to go after him.
Well, let me give a great example. President Trump got rid of one regulation that was a useless regulation, accomplished nothing in my industry that saved me $16,000 a year. How many people have stories like that out there where he's got rid of regulations that were not benefiting anybody, they were just costing a lot of money, and it makes businesses do better?
Now, I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. It was benefiting some people. It was benefiting lawyers and lobbyists.
Good point.
And when the president said he wanted to drain a swamp, I think most Americans looked at it and said, a lot of people are doing well around here, but a lot of them are lawyers and lobbyists. So why don't we let the folks in my hometown who create jobs keep a little bit more of their money to hopefully create more jobs in my hometown? That was Trump's perspective. I agree with that perspective. Washington, D.C. has got a lot of wealthy lawyers and lobbyists. We don't need more wealthy lawyers and lobbyists in Washington. We need more people back home having better paying jobs and better benefits so that they are wealthier.
Our guest this morning is U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy. We got a few remaining moments when we come back. Stay with us. U.S. Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy, our guest this morning. Senator Cassidy, anything get done before the new legislature takes over?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We're going to be passing, hopefully, reauthorizing the flood insurance program. Very much important to people in Louisiana. We're trying to get the agricultural bill through. Hugely important to people in Louisiana, as well as get some more judges appointed. But before we run out of time, Ted, we've got to talk about one thing.
Oh, the LSU Alabama game? I got time.
That LSU Arkansas game.
You got to admit, Arkansas in a building program, nothing going on. They played them pretty good.
They did. And of course, we did take a knee, not scoring that last touchdown. Took a knee twice, so that's 2 touchdowns we missed out on, huh?
Doc, let me defend myself. LSU fans really support LSU when they win. Arkansas fans support Arkansas whether they win or lose.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to. Now, first I could say one that Arkansas fans have had more practice at it.
My favorite story. Do you remember Nolan Richardson, the basketball
coach?
Yeah. Nolan Richardson was the greatest basketball coach that ever came to Arkansas. And that's when they had that idiot athletic director up there, Frank Voyles, and they ended up firing Nolan. The dumbest thing they've ever done, because he was a great coach. But I never will forget, he was being interviewed one night, and they said, "Coach, how do you think you're going to do this Saturday night in the basketball game?" He said, "Depends on how many of my players are in jail." His second greatest quote was, they said, "Coach, it just doesn't look like you got a real organized plan. You don't do a lot of plays. It's almost sandlot basketball. Do you have any plays?" He said, "I do. Whoever crosses the center line that's in possession of the basketball is free to shoot." But at least LSU is finishing up against Rice. They should be able to handle that.
Well, we got A&M after Rice. I know you got listeners over there in East Texas, so it's going to be a nice rivalry.
But you know who does have a really good team this year, I think, and they got a great coach? LSU basketball. I think LSU basketball is going to be a contender.
Incredibly well.
And they were very wise to get Wade. I think Wade is a great coach, and I think you're going to see get back the days of Dale Brown under his direction.
Well, Dale created a lot of enthusiasm about the program, and it's never quite got to that level of enthusiasm since. So with this kind of recruiting class, I think Wade may pull it off.
Let me tell you a sad story. Billy Nungesser was on with me the week that LSU and Alabama were playing, and I said, "Billy, you going to the game?" He said, "I am. We're tailgating." And he said, "But I actually don't have tickets to get in the game." I said, "You're the lieutenant governor. What do you mean you don't have tickets?" He said, "Well, the tickets that were there were scalping it so high, it was so expensive, I decided just to tailgate, not go to the game." Lieutenant governor can't get in the game. Senator, in Arkansas, we would have let the lieutenant governor in the game.
So I went to the Alabama game. I got tickets. My family's had them for 30 or 40 years. And I realized somebody said, you could sell these for $500 a piece or $800 a piece. And I'm thinking, I really want to go to the game. And I got extra tickets. But do I really want to sit next to a drunk Alabama fan?
A friend
I saw friends from Lafayette and Lakeshore, and we had a good time, And I lost out on the money, but I had a better time.
Senator, a friend of mine had 4 tickets, and a person in Shreveport offered $1,000 a ticket, and I thought, wow, you got to really like football for that. Senator, you need to come to Nacker's Christmas Festival one year. That's a great event. Jeff Landry's coming this year. We'd love to have you.
Joe Long consistently invites me, and I want to get up there. Believe it or not, I've missed it on several occasions because my daughters have piano recitals that same day. For whatever reason, it always worked out that way. And my daughters only have piano recitals for so long in life. But we're going to make it.
Hey, sounds like a plan. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
And to you and all the listeners. Thanks, Ted.